Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is bringing you more this holiday season, finishing the year with big savings on the entire model lineup during the Wrap Up the Year sales event. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2024 Ram 1500 Crew Cab Laramie 4x4 for qualified buyers. Explore all our year-end lease and finance deals at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com. This is Woodhouse. With approved credit, tax title license extra. When financed with Chrysler Capital, $299 doc fee to its signing. Stock number BC240134. Offer expires 12/31/2023. See dealer for details.
Discover unbeatable deals and convenience at your neighborhood family fare supermarkets. Score exclusive deals, earn rewards, join clubs, and clip digital coupons for extra savings all in one place. Our exclusive offers bring savings straight to your card. Explore a wide range of local products that support your community. With easy pickup and delivery options, saving time and grocery shopping has never been easier. Family Fare is all about making your grocery experience easy and affordable and your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. Family Fare in your neighborhood.
Alone at last.
Buff, give me a heart attack.
Oh, I'm gonna give you more than that.
Buff, for the love of God, don't open that raincoat.
Come on, it's a party. Aren't you gonna open your present?
It's not that I don't want to. Sometimes a remote, impossible possibility that you might like me was all that sustained me. But not now. Not like this. This isn't real to you. You're only here because of a spell. I mean, if I thought you had one clue what it would mean to me. But you don't. So I can't.
So you're saying this is all a game?
A game? No!
You make me feel this way and then you reject me? What am I, a toy?
Buffy, please calm down.
I'll calm down when you explain yourself.
Get away from him. He's mine.
Oh, I don't think so. Xander, tell her.
What?
He doesn't have to say. I know what his heart wants.
Funny. I know what your face wants. What is this, you're two-timing me?
God is Hecate, work thy will.
Uh-oh.
Before thee let the unclean thing crawl!
Buffy! Oh my God.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Still Slaying, a Buffyverse podcast. I'm Penny.
And I'm Kara. This episode, we're going to be discussing Season 2, Episode 16, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, directed by James A. Contner and written by Rob Deshotel, Dean Batali, Marty Noxon, and J.W. The original air date for this one was February 10th, 1998, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yes, just in time. I have a new sound effect for us to bring us back to the 90s for the events of the time.
Oh my God. I love that. Oh, man.
I thought you'd like that.
That's fantastic.
So, the date, February 10th, 1998, number one song in the USA was Nice and Slow by Usher. Number one song in the UK, Dr. Jones by Aqua. And shock of shocks, Titanic is still number one at the box office.
Oh my
Most
goodness.
of the other TV channels, I went to see like what this episode was competing against, and everyone was running reruns because of the Olympics.
That makes sense. Ugh. And it pulled in what? I think I double checked. It had like 4.5 million viewers this time around, so I'm sure that helped.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Also going on at this time, on February 6th, just a few days before this episode aired, aired, Mary Kay Letourneau, who was 36 at the time, a former teacher, violated her probation by seeing 14-year-old father of her baby. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison. I'm sure everybody who was alive during this time remembers that case. How can you forget?
It was not as big as the Lewinsky-Clinton scandal, but it was in the news. It was on all the late night shows being joked about. And, you know, rape culture and American culture has changed a lot since then. Because at the time, there was a very prevailing, like, good for that kid. He must have really enjoyed it. That's great attitude that I find disgusting. And he was a child, and this woman took advantage of him, and she had to go to prison. Like, it's disgusting. I think that if the same story broke today, the reaction publicly would be really different.
I would hope so, because he was very, very young when they started, you know.
Yeah.
When this
incident
incident
like 12.
occurred. Yeah. And what's horrible is, you know, we have made progress, but before we started recording, I was telling Penny about the beginning of a movie that I saw this weekend that I did not know existed until this weekend. I wish I could go back in time and not learn about it, but it was That's My Boy by Adam Sandler that came out in 2012, and it was kind of a pretty similar situation to the Mary Kay Letourneau situation. And I'll tell you, I know we've made a lot of progress, but this is a topic that I still had to bring up in jury selection over and over again. Anytime we had a sexual assault case involving an adult woman and a minor boy, especially if it was a teacher scenario, because you would still get men, mostly, I don't remember any women raising their hands when I would ask if they had a hard time picturing this boy as a victim, and whether or not that would be influenced if the teacher was very attractive, if they found her attractive. And of course, if they find her attractive, then they're all like, I mean, what's the crime there? I can, you know, I lost count how many times that came up. So, you know, progress, but we definitely still have a ways to go.
A ways to go. Yeah.
This is still tangentially related to some of the themes that come up in Buffy.
Unfortunately, yes, it is.
Yep. And then February 7th, I'm terrible at Roman numerals, Penny.
That's 18.
Oh my God. I was like, my brain is broken right now. I was just like, X is 10, V, and then all the ones after them. Good Lord. Oh gosh. The 18th Winter Olympic Games opened in Nagano, Japan. And February 8th, Finland beats Sweden 6-0 at the Aquawing Arena in Nagano, Japan, and the first female ice hockey game played in Olympic history. That's pretty cool.
Yay! Girl power!
Man. Oh, this was Mia Hamm's win. Okay, so February 9th, this was the 6th annual ESPY Awards, and Ken Griffey Jr. and Mia Hamm were the big winners that year. I'm assuming that was after Mia Hamm's World Cup sports bra celebration. I remember the controversy around that too, which is so absurd, especially thinking about it now.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous.
Come on. Oh man, this is a good one. And on February 10th, AOL, for those younger listeners, that is America Online, raises their monthly flat rate internet access from $19.95 to $21.95.
That was the only way that most people got internet back then. Mm-hmm. You had to subscribe to a service like America Online, CompuServe. Mm-hmm. It was just a really different setup. There was dial-up modems. You had to listen to the horrible scratchy noise, and it was expensive. I mean, I pay more than this for my internet Wi-Fi now. I pay about $50 a month.
I think that's about where I am. But man, I loved AOL.
I never had an AOL account because I always had academic accounts, and I wasn't living with my parents, and they had AOL, and so I was just like, oh, that's a thing for parent type people.
That's funny. I think I only had it because of AIM, that AOL Instant Messenger. I got it in 6th grade.
Well, yeah, because all your friends were on it, right? You had to chat with them.
I still remember I bought my first lip gloss ever from Clinique, and the name of it was Kissy Fit. So Kissy Fit 412 became my AOL screen name in 6th grade. So that was good.
That is so funny. I love it so much. Oh my God.
It's just so special. Such a special time.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Well, now that we're all sufficiently placed in the 90s milieu, let's dive into this amazing romantic comedy style episode, with a Hellmouth twist. You want to go first, Kara?
I'll go with my lighthearted point first and not start off a little dark. So I kind of just titled this point as an instant classic. And that, because, something that stands out to me every single time I watch this episode is just, it seems to capture what Buffy is so well, what the series is as a whole. And it's, it's funny and it's a little silly, but there are some horror elements to it, and it's very clever and witty. And of course, they're showing us, poor Xander and Cordelia and everybody dealing with this painful aspect of adolescence and the high school experience in general, and using these supernatural metaphors along the way to address it. And I just love that so much. And poor Xander really gets himself into a pickle in this one.
He does, yes. Foolishly, stupidly, right? Like, he should know that love spells are really dangerous. And Amy even tries, she's like, I don't know, it could be really, it's hard, and if your intention's not pure, and he's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. I mean, he really deserves being attacked by all those women. I'm glad he doesn't get killed, which he very well could have, but he definitely had it coming.
Oh, yeah.
But the episode is so funny. Oh, yeah. There are so many funny, tiny little moments, and the performances all around are stellar.
They really
especially are. The supporting women who don't usually get as much screen time. Yes. They all got these moments to shine, right? Like Jenny Calendar's hilarious. Harmony. Is this the first episode where we meet? No, we've met Harmony before.
We've met her before. She's definitely an Inca Mummy girl, which is funny because that episode has some similar themes.
It's another one. Like just Xander getting himself into trouble with love.
And Joyce gets an interesting contribution in this one. But it's just, it really is like all of them have these excellent comedic moments. And then it really is a good message about what happens when you play with people's emotions. And especially when it comes to Willow, like that's one thing that always sticks with me is, we're told how hard this is on Willow and how much of an effect this had on her. Because obviously for years she had feelings for Xander. And I can't help but think that it changes her in a way and affects her relationship with Xander and with love in general going forward. Because how could it not?
Because she must have been humiliated in a whole new way by what happened, and hurt even more deeply than everyone else. It's pretty sad. Willow, Allison Hannigan has an amazing ability to make you feel sorry for her. Like it's like the tiniest facial expression, and then you're like, don't hurt my Willow. Like she's just such a little like sweet little cute baby in the early seasons. Later she gets stronger, but like season 2 is still solidly like sweet and innocent and pure Willow. And she's so cute.
And like the purity of her joy when she's talking about, my boyfriend's in the band and is all excited to see Oz perform. And when she tells Xander, like, Oz has, it's his cool hair tonight. I think I'm a groupie. It's like,
she's so excited.
It's precious.
It's really adorable.
And I think that innocence and her being super excited about, Oz is like her first boyfriend. And then you have Cordelia, who is worried about fitting in and her friends not approving of her dating this, quote unquote lame or nerdy guy. And all of that in the episode really just emphasizes how freaking young they are. Like, these are teenagers dealing with this mess. And it's definitely messy.
Harmony and her little pack of mean girls are not subtle at all, right? Like, they don't just say, like, snide comments to Cordelia. They come right out and are like, you dated Xander, so we're making fun of you. Like, it's direct and it's vicious. And it's very satisfying when Cordelia faces them down at the end, because we've come to know Cordelia better and better over the course of season 2 and have started suspecting that there's some depth in there that, we didn't necessarily see. And to see her separating from the, like, sort of shallow, all we care about is money and popularity girls is satisfying, even though it's like a huge risk for her. She's like nervous. But she has real feelings for Xander. Like, when he gives her the necklace and she secretly wears it to school under her shirt, like, she's fallen for him.
That was sweet. She had to go and, like, pretend to get it out of her locker when it's actually around her neck. And I remember, in the forums and stuff, like, discussions about this episode, theories that the reason it didn't actually work on Cordelia is because she was already in love with Xander, as opposed to, since she was the object of it and his intentions weren't pure, it just backfired. And I kind of like that theory. I think it could be a little of both. Like, it could have been influenced, but, I think we've seen a lot of growth from her already, and this just kind of continues that growth and character development. You feel for her. You can't help it. And I think part of that is just Charisma Carpenter's talent and skill and her personality shining through. But this whole episode, like, I just feel so bad for everyone. And I am glad kind of that Xander was such a jackass in the first part of it, because then it makes me feel a little bit better in the second half when he kind of gets what's coming to him. Like, yep, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, man. This is a great showcase of Nicholas Brendan's acting ability. He doesn't usually get to do a lot of subtle stuff. Mm-hmm. He's the comic relief. It's often physical comedy. Mm-hmm. But he got a few moments in this episode that were really fantastic and that he sold with really small movements. My favorite, of course, is the scene when he comes to school and he walks, and it's like slow motion walking through the halls and everybody's like looking at him, and it's that great song "Got the Love," which is by a band called Average White Band, and it's just like this like funky, like possibly porn soundtrack style music, and he's got his shoulders hunched and he looks ashamed, and everyone is looking at him with these expressions of like a mix of like lust, confusion, and anger. It's hard to understand what some of the boys are thinking, but some of them are like looking pretty lusty as well, and he is so sheepish. And then he just says it. He's like, "I'm throwing myself on your mercy" to Giles when he gets into the library. He's like, I screwed up. Like, I need help. And as soon as Giles understands what's going on, he flips into this I have no sympathy for you. I'm going to fix it, but you are an idiot. Like, he doesn't hold back at all. He doesn't have any of the, like, patience and understanding that he shows to Buffy when something is going in her life going wrong, or even with Willow, he's gentle and patient. And with Xander, he is like, you idiot. Like, he just...
Giles has a very low Xander tolerance in general, it seems like. And I don't know if that's because he's, you know, he's a guy, like he's a boy, as opposed to, you know, if he feels like he should be a little bit more soft and understanding with Willow or Buffy. But it seems like that happens a few times where Giles is just like, damn it, Xander. Like, what are you doing? I do love the line when Giles says something like, I cannot believe that you are a fool enough to do something like this. And Xander's like, oh, no. Like, I'm twice the fool it takes to do, like, you
almost
should have
like
seen
he's
this coming.
proud.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I agree with Xander there. Like, this is 100% something he would do.
It's not surprising at all that given access to the dark arts, he would use it for something petty and stupid.
And as a teenage boy, like, I don't, like, your average teenage boy in that situation, I just wonder how many would make that same choice. Or girl, vice versa. But the fact that he at first wanted to do it so Cordy would fall in love with him so he could just, like, shatter her is so twisted.
It's so mean, right?
Because, like, damn it.
Yes, she broke up with him and it hurt him and it was on Valentine's Day, but she wasn't cruel about it.
No.
And he was like, how dare she? I'm going to destroy her. It's just a real outsized response that I have personally seen a lot of teenage boys have. Like, a girl hurts them and their response is like, well, I'm going to treat all women like garbage now. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Like, one girl isn't in love with you. Your response is really
disproportionate.
Yeah, like, you really need to take a step back. Come up with a new plan.
Just needs a little, you know, emotional development.
Yeah.
Because, gosh. And I do, you know, I think he does learn a lot from this episode and from this instance. It sticks with him, I think, throughout. That's not really a huge spoiler. It sticks with him throughout the seasons. He remembers what happened here. Yeah. And I better with how it turned out, but I like that Giles reacts the way he does and shows how serious this is, because it's really not a light situation. Like, yeah, it leads to some funny moments, but it's not a light topic.
The first part of it is funny, and then it gets dark real fast. Like,
it escalates.
The Buffy seduction scene. First of all, Sarah Michelle Gellar in that short trench coat looked so sexy.
Fabulous.
I think I'm gay for Sarah Michelle Gellar now. Like, she's so hot. And then she's so sexy the way she's, like, moving and, like, flirting with Xander. And I don't know how he actually did, like, resist her in that situation. She's, like, standing over him. But then it escalates so quickly where she's like, this is just a game to you? And all I can think is, she's the Slayer. She could kill you so easily. Like, and when she hits Amy, I'm like, is Amy still alive? Like,
I know.
Like, oh my God.
It's like, somebody needs to go make sure she's okay, because, like, angry Buffy.
Yeah, it's not like good. Any other angry, teeny tiny little girl. Angry Buffy is scary.
Gosh. I do love, like, there are a couple of moments that make me really happy. Like, Giles is just so fed up with the situation, and especially once he realizes that it is also affecting Miss Calendar.
Yeah.
And, you know, she and Amy are kind of like yapping, like talking back and forth and bickering. And he's just like, instead of making me ill, could you two, like, help me? And he's like addressing Amy, trying to handle Amy. And of course, as he's doing that, Miss Calendar, like, sneaks off to go find Xander. It's like, oh my gosh, this is such
Robia
a mess.
Lamort's performance in this is so adorable. When the first scene when she comes in and she like wants to talk to Giles about, you know, their relationship and apologize to him again, I guess. And she's just like, nice shirt, Xander. And then she's like, she can't stop petting him. And then she's like, have you been working out? And Nicholas Brendan does this like little head tilt, like points at her and like looks at Giles. Like, do you see what I mean? And that's like, when Giles is like, oh, I 100% see what's going on. Like, he completely gets it. And Robia Lamort is so funny. She turns into this like girlish little thing, and she like somehow she looks more petite than she even is, and then later when she comes back in the library with Giles and she sees Xander, she gets this huge grin on her face and she like tries to run to him. I'm like, oh it's so funny.
That must have been so much fun to film.
Yeah. Nicholas Brendan always says that it was really fun to film, but that they were laughing a lot. They had a lot of takes because they kept cracking up during all these like over the top ridiculous seduction scenes.
And they're also good at being seductive. Like Allison Hannigan and Sarah Michelle Gellar, both especially in this episode. I was just like, damn, and poor Willow. But it's so funny when he gets home and, you know, Willow's already in his bed. And she makes the point, she's like, what? Like, I've been in your bed before. And he's like, yeah, but we were both in footy pajamas. Like, this is not the same. And when she starts sucking on his ear,
it's so great.
I was like, oh no.
And then when he says something like, don't make me force you or something like that. And she's like, oh, force is good.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time because it's the last thing you expect innocent, you know, little bunny-faced Willow to say. I did notice that in that scene in the background in his bedroom, there's a widespread panic poster. And I was like, yeah, that's an appropriate phrase for this situation. Widespread panic.
Highly appropriate.
That's exactly what's going on.
I mean, it makes it also more satisfying when Oz punches Xander. I love that part.
It's so cute. He's like, I don't really know what's going on, but I felt like I needed to punch you.
Oh, I love Oz so much.
And then, of course, he's the one who can find Buffy Rat because his sense of smell. He's the perfect person to send.
It is perfect.
And also, if there's anyone in the whole world I would want to find me when I'm naked and vulnerable, it would be Oz. Because you know 100%. He's not going to make a gross joke about it. He's not going to try to see your body. And when you say, like, can you get me some clothes? He's like, I could do that.
He understands, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's full on.
Yeah, he's been there.
Been there. But it is true. Like, Oz, that's one thing I think I love about Oz is that he is just so non-threatening as a guy. Like, you just kind of inherently trust him, and that makes me happy.
It's his inner calm.
I kind of feel that way about Seth Green in general, too. He seems like a good guy. But I do like his, what does he say when she says, like, I seem to have a slight case of nudity here. And he's like, but you're not a rat. So call it enough. So I was like, oh, Oz, such an optimist. But it's true. Thank God Buffy is no longer a rat.
So the reason that they turned her into a rat, this whole episode, the reason it exists is because Sarah Michelle Gellar needed to be away from set to host Saturday Night Live. So it was supposed to go from, what was the last episode we did? Phases directly to Passion that we're doing next time. But because of her needing to be away, they wrote an episode where she was only in it a little bit so that they could still have an episode that week and everything. And I'm so glad they did because it's comedy gold. And also it's a chance to focus on some of the other characters a little bit. As much as I absolutely love Buffy, I love when we get an episode that focuses on somebody else.
Yes.
And that's going to become more common in future seasons. We'll get more of those, which is going to be
and
nice.
It's just, I don't know. It led to such a great episode and a little bit of a breather between all of the crazy and jealous stuff, even though we still get, some moments here and there.
Some great moments.
It's nice to have this little breather in between, but it also, like I said, my first point with it being instant classic, this is one of the episodes that would be probably within my top 5, if not top 5, top 10, that I would point to for people to watch Buffy to get a good idea of the show and what I think represents the best of the show.
Yeah, because it is so simultaneously lighthearted and dark, which is the essence of this show, and it has a lot of examples of great quips. And
it's true.
The show is really hitting its stride. Like, from the middle of season 2, when Angel turns, I feel like the quality of the show just like ramps up solidly to the end of season 2, and then it's high after that. It's just a high level of quality.
It almost feels like a different show. Like, not entirely, but once you have that Angelus storyline introduced, I don't know, there's something about it. There's like a switch that's flipped, and you are solidly hooked.
Yeah.
Like, the development of the storyline, all the little teases and ramping up to it. And I think this is the first episode where we hear a reference to kind of the big bad, or a big bad overall, as the overarching villain. And they do a good job peppering Angel throughout.
Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is bringing you more this holiday season, finishing the year with big savings on the entire model lineup during the Wrap Up the Year sales event. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2024 Ram 1500 Crew Cab Laramie 4x4 for qualified buyers. Explore all our year-end lease and finance deals at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com. This is Woodhouse, with approved credit, tax title license extra, when financed with Chrysler Capital. $299 doc fee due at signing. Stock number BC240134. Offer expires 12/31/2023. See dealer for details.
Waiting to buy a home? The Churchill Mortgage team says now is a great time to buy. Waiting could be a costly mistake because when rates drop, new home buyers will flood the market, driving up home prices. Go to churchillmortgage.com for your free analysis and see how home values can outpace rates to help you build wealth over time faster. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
So let's talk about the evil love triangle that is Spike, Drusilla, and Angel. I get such a kick out of the animosity that is growing between Angel and Spike. Spike is the sort of definition of impotent right now, right? He can't walk, he's stuck in a chair, and he has to literally sit there and watch Angel just like tromp all over his relationship, right? And
So
Angel
bad.
is clearly enjoying himself so much. He's like, ha ha ha, I can pick on Spike again today. And the Valentine's gift scene, right? Spike gives Drusilla a necklace, which is, I don't know, lame for her. And she's like, oh, thank you, it's beautiful, or whatever. And then Angel just interrupts it with the like warm, gooey, bloody human heart that he drops on the table, which Drew, of course, just absolutely loves.
From a quaint little shop girl.
Quaint little shop girl. She's like, it's still warm. And she's so excited. And then Angel just uses this as a chance to just lambast Spike. First, he puts the necklace on Drusilla and calls it cute. And then he says, I know Drew gives you pity access, but you have to admit it's so much easier when I do things for her. And then,
like, damn, man.
And it's so mean. And then Spike tries to sort of like turn things around, right? He's like, you would do well to worry less about Drew and more about that Slayer you've been tramping around with. And Angel's like, oh, I haven't decided what to get her yet for Valentine's Day. And Spike is like, why don't you rip her lungs out? That makes a statement. And Angel says, oh, it lacks poetry. And Spike, this is why I love Spike. Oh, it doesn't have to. What rhymes with lungs?
Yes.
So great.
He's just like, focus on Buffy, Angel. Like, stop it.
You're like, get away from my girlfriend, man. And Drusilla is like, oh, I have a heart. I have two men. Like, she's so happy. And then she actually says, don't worry, Spike. Angel always knows what speaks to a girl's heart, as if that's going to make Spike feel better.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry, Spike. And I think I love that line because, one, like, yes, we know now that there's this, like, little triangle and a lot of back and forth about Angel kind of playing around with Drew and Drew's feelings and trying to upset Spike. But at the same time, he's trying to figure out what to do for Buffy because he has this, like, history of torturing the objects of his obsession. And he knew exactly what to do to get to Drew and drive her insane before turning her. And it's the same thing with Buffy. Like, he knows what makes her tick and what will get to her. And it's just all the parallels that they draw in this episode make me happy. I will say, too, I think it's also very clear that one of the true examples of love that we get is the way Spike is towards Drusilla.
I agree.
Because he never turns that anger really towards Drew. It's mainly hurt that, you know, maybe she's not choosing him anymore or paying attention to him. But he always is just so understanding and tender with her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh.
And when she was weak, he did everything he possibly could to re-empower her. And, you know, he didn't have to do that. He could have let her stay weak for a while and, you know, sort of enjoyed being the dominant part of that partnership. But that's not why he loved her. He really loves her and loves her darkness and her weirdness. It is kind of beautiful, even though, you know.
Yeah.
They're mass murderers and...
It's like as beautiful as it can be, given who they are.
And then later when Drusilla falls for the spell, right?
Oh my gosh.
And she offers Xander eternal life. And I love that Angel is like, what is happening? Like, he's like, so confused. He's like, Drew, is this a game? I don't know what you're doing. Like, he's like, what?
So good. Like, and of course, like, it just ties in so perfectly because when Xander and Cordy run up into Buffy's room to, like, get away from Joyce and all of these other girls that are coming after him, I remember, like, the first time I watched this and even the first time I rewatched it when I was older, I was not thinking about Angel at that moment.
No.
And then, of course, Xander says, I was like, you know, we're safer up here. And I can't remember what Angel something. I was like, oh, you think that theory would be correct or you think that'd be right. But nope. And just, like, yanks him out. I was like, oh my God, like, how is this going to end? And I remember thinking, how is he going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, Buffy's a rat still. Like, who is going to save him? And when it's Drew, I lost it. It's so still funny. One of my favorite parts of the episode. And she's, you know, like, all loving on him and calling him kitten. And he just looks so terrified. She's like, see, Xander, this is why you don't mess with love spells.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my God. It's so great. And then when all the girls, like when Xander, Cordelia kind of rescues Xander from the mob after the mob shows up, and then they run in the house, and then all the girls run in after them, and Drusilla gets, like, slammed back at the door because she hasn't been invited in. Oh, it makes me so happy. It's so funny. And she looks so put out. Like,
she does.
That was my toy. Like,
yep.
Oh, God.
And Angel just, like, cracking. I was like, so sorry, Drew. Like, gosh, you didn't get the invite. Like, it's just, I think they did such an excellent job tying in Spike and Drew and Angel in this episode.
Yeah.
And keeping it lighthearted, but also ominous with, you know, him leaving those roses with the note saying soon and reminding Buffy that he's still out there. I do love that when that line, set of lines when she and Giles are in the library and he's going over all the Valentine's Day things that Angel has done in the past, so Buffy's prepared. And he's like, oh, here's another one. He's like, yes, Angel nails a puppy to them. She's like, skip it. Skip it. Like, don't have a puppy. Don't want to know. I was like, yes, please don't finish.
Yeah, none of us want to know what happened there. That just sounds awful. But it's funny because every now and then Giles does this where he gets excited academically about something horrible that's happening. The same thing with the werewolf, right? He was like giddy about having a werewolf. And when he's finding interesting tidbits about Angel, he's starting to show glee. And Buffy, the look on Buffy's face is like, dude, this is going to happen to me. Like,
yeah, it's like, what? Read the room, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is not good.
Can you kind of check your tone a little bit? But maybe,
even that, like, that is such a dark topic. Like, not only are they talking about her ex-boyfriend who took her virginity, who has turned evil and is now like trying to figure out a way to torture her to the point of insanity. She's talking about nailing a puppy to something, and like it's still the way they frame it, it ends up being a hilarious exchange. And that's why I love this show. And Giles had some good moments some great in this moments. One. Like when he goes up to Buffy and says, might I have a word? And she's like, have a sentence even. And when it clicks for him and he just kind of giggles and he's like, oh, that's clever. It reminded me of the moon pie joke that Xander made in Phases that Giles gets all giddy about.
Yeah, every now and then Giles really, like, something tickles his fancy and it's so cute the way he laughs.
Precious. Like, he does such a good job with that.
So I looked up a little bit about the history of Valentine's Day and the origins of Valentine's Day.
Fun.
So it's not clear. There are a lot of different stories that purport to be the origins of Valentine's Day and the story of who Saint Valentine is. There's several different Christian martyrs who were named Valentine, so it could be any one of them really. And there's one that was named Valentine who was martyred in 270 ACE by Emperor Claudius II Gothicus. And according to legend, the priest signed a letter from your Valentine to his jailer's daughter, whom he had befriended, and by some accounts he also had healed her from blindness. Other accounts say that it's Saint Valentine of Tournai, who was a bishop. It's also possible that those two Valentines were the same person. This is how history goes. It's a little vague when it gets back to the, olden times. There's another common legend that says that Saint Valentine was like a priest who defied emperor's orders and secretly married couples to spare their husbands from having to go to war. And so that's why it's associated with love. The sort of tradition of sending love messages or Valentines appeared in the 1500s, and by the late 1700s, they were being commercially printed, and an industry sprang up. The first Valentines in the U.S. were printed in the mid 1800s, and they depict things like Cupid or the hearts, flowers, birds. Traditional gifts, candy, flowers, red roses, all symbols of beauty and love. It's a popular and celebrated holiday in the US, Britain, Canada, Australia, and Argentina, France, Mexico, and South Korea. In the Philippines, it is the most common wedding anniversary, and there are mass weddings of hundreds of couples on that date. According to both the New York Times and History.com, another possible origin for the holiday is the ancient pagan festival of Lupercalia, which predated Christianity. So kind of like how the Roman Empire co-opted pagan rituals in December and sort of attached them to Christ's birth to co-opt and sort of merge the pagan believers with the new Christian believers. They adopted this Lupercalia festival of love and turned it into a Christian festival by calling it St. Valentine's Day. And it's supposed to also be like sort of the beginning of spring and new life and stuff like that. Lupercalia, though, unlike Valentine's Day, was a bit of a raucous celebration filled with debauchery, blood, and sacrifice. For example, it was tradition for the hide of a sacrificed goat to be cut into strips and dipped in blood. Then priests would go around slapping women with the strips. The practice was supposedly welcomed, as it was believed to make the women more fertile in the coming year. So you still have a red association with the holiday, but definitely not how it's used today.
Huh. How romantic.
So, yeah, Lupercalia sounds a little bit more like what the Hellmouth would bring us for Valentine's Day. I think I'm gonna do this goat strip thing this year. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Change it up a little bit. Experiment. Oh, that's funny. Gosh. I do love that they released this one close to Valentine's Day. It's a very Buffy-esque Valentine's story.
Yeah. I mean, Xander even says it, when he's talking to Amy. He's like, I want the Hellmouth to work for me for a change. And it's like everything that happens at Sunnydale is amped up because of being on top of the Hellmouth. And like, it's amazing to me how often they don't take it into account, that they're not like, maybe we shouldn't do this spell because of the Hellmouth and we don't know what kind of energy it's gonna. No, let's just do it, and then stuff will blow up. Like, it's
like, don't fuck with the Hellmouth. Like, just don't do it. It never ends well. And even like poor Amy's telling him like, Xander, like, this is not a good idea. Your intentions have to be pure. And he was like, they're pure revenge. Like, I know what I want. I was like, no, man, no, this is not good.
No.
But he just, very, very typical teenager. He acts and then thinks.
Yeah.
Ugh. That kind of, are you ready to go a little dark?
Yeah, let's go dark.
Because I love spells, love potions, love magic in general is another one of my points. And it's just something that, even as a kid, there was always something that bothered me about them. I just couldn't quite articulate what it was. But getting older and seeing it portrayed in media over and over again, it's just this kind of glaring lack of consent that's involved with love potions, no matter how you spin it. And even Buffy makes a roofie reference to Xander when talking about Cordelia. She's like, she loved you before you invoked the great roofie spirit.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's pretty appropriate because, in this situation, nothing happened. Nothing physical happened. But if you make someone fall in love with you using a love spell and then you have any sort of sexual interaction with them, like, you obtain their consent by deceit. You didn't get their fully informed consent. Like, that is sexual assault. So I guess I should say we should put in a trigger warning for, discussion of sexual assault and consent, because it just rubs me the wrong way. If he'd gone through with doing anything with Buffy, like, that is essentially, I get that it's not the same, but it is essentially equivalent to her loving and hugging on him and passing out drunk, or like falling asleep in his lap or something like that. Like, so yes, good job, Xander, for not taking advantage of your friend in a vulnerable situation, but at the same time, I'm like, yes, good job, Xander, for not sexually assaulting your friend.
Yeah.
like it's, I have a really hard time
good
with
man.
that.
Like, that's, the bar is so low for men.
It is. Oh, shoot. Sorry, Daryl. I almost knocked Mrs. Daryl Dixon off my shoulder because I was getting so worked up about Xander. But it's true.
There are other love potion movies, and it also shows up in the Harry Potter books.
Oh, yeah.
There's a love potion plot, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. Like, I grew up with Harry Potter, and I have decided that the author of Harry Potter is not relevant to my continued enjoyment of
The universe,
the story. Yep. And there's a Harry Potter podcast that I listen to quite frequently. It's called Swish and Flick, and we had an excellent discussion about the ethics of love potions and love spells in that episode. And it was something I was thinking about watching this, because in media in general, it's always portrayed in kind of a lighthearted way. Like, yes, there are consequences and, you know, there are warnings about love turning to obsession or actually being obsession, but you know, it's been around forever. And looking, the English major in me was remembering different times I, you know, read about it. And the first thing that popped into my head was some of the versions of Tristan and Isolde involve the use of a love potion. Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare, there's a love potion involved in that. And it's kind of, you know, there are some serious consequences, but it's a comedy. It's lighthearted. And even in Little Women, the sisters are acting out a play that Joe writes that has to do with a witch's curse. And it's about, you know, a love spell in that instance. And I think, you know, The Twilight Zone, Bewitched, all of these other forms of media have covered it, and it's always kind of a haha, what a caper, that was a pickle, but everything's fine now. And just taking a few seconds to think about it critically brings up a whole host of questions. And the way that Buffy says, you know, makes that comment about the great roofie spirit makes me think that the writers of this episode were at least subconsciously aware of that connection.
Yeah.
And
I think they were aware, because
I hope
this is the same season where we had Reptile Boy, you know, with actual roofying.
Yes. That's true.
And the fact that Xander doesn't take advantage of any of these women is, you know, mildly commendable, but also a factor of how quickly things escalate.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a love spell, right? It's they go from like, hey, I want to be with you, to like being willing to like do violence in like 10 minutes.
Willow wielding that axe.
Oh man.
It's just like, oh shit.
I was really wondering too, like, if one of them had managed to kill Xander, would that have ended the love spell? Or would the other women have like taken out vengeance on that person? Ooh. Right? Like, you killed our love. I don't know. Either way, it would be an interesting story.
That would be interesting.
I mean, they weren't going to kill Xander.
Because they were about ready to off Cordelia for breaking up with him and hurting him. And poor Cordelia was like, I can't please you guys. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
And she did such a good job in this episode.
Yeah. Which, of course, leads to her wonderful sheep speech. Where she basically declares her independence from the ridiculous shenanigans of like popularity in high school, right? She's like, oh my God, this is all about conformity and following, and you're like gatekeeping, like you're like, who's cool, who's not cool. It's also shallow and dumb, and I can do whatever I want and date whoever I want and wear whatever I want. And it's one of those times when I'm like loving that Cordelia is also a bitch. Like, and I mean a bitch in the most empowering way. In the way that, like, bitches get shit done, like that kind of thing. Like, she is strong. And she's using, when we first meet her in season 1 of Buffy and, you know, the beginnings of season 2, she's using her powers for, like, nothing important, right? She's just being queen of the high school. But once she sort of clues into the fact of the Hellmouth and this larger world, she starts using her powers for more important things. And this is just part of that growth where she's like, oh my God, like this high school hierarchy garbage is just, it's just temporary, and it's pointless. and it doesn't mean anything, and I don't need to participate in it anymore if I don't want to. And I think it takes most women until they're like 45 before they can confidently be like, I don't care what you think about me. And I mean, there's Cordy at 17, like throwing off the shackles of society's expectations. I applaud her. It's one of my favorite Cordelia moments.
It is. And she's just kind of a badass in that moment. Like, for a high school girl to have that realization and the wherewithal to stand up to them, it's good to see. And I think I may have thought that I didn't care what other people thought of me or what society expected of me from a young age, but I really don't think it actually sunk in until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's still like, to have that kind of like weight lifted and the freedom that comes with that is huge. I wish I could have gotten to that point in high school.
Me too. Wait till you turn 50. Oh my God. There's something about the number. It's really liberating. When I turned 50, I expected to be sad or something, or feel like, I'm halfway through life and I haven't accomplished everything I thought I would accomplish. No, none of that. All I felt was like, you know what? I am done trying to meet society's expectations for women. I just was like, I'm done with that. Don't care anymore. I like that. And it has been liberating, and I love it so much, and I want it for like all my female friends. Like, I'm like, everybody come to the same place I'm at. It's so cool.
Yep. In the year of Barbie and Taylor Swift and Beyonce, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
It's a good year for women. But it helps to have people be vocal about that too. When you see other women shedding society's expectations and talking about how it's empowering, it's easier to do.
It is.
It's easier for you to follow in suit. I think that's why, this is a tangent, not to get too political, but I think that's why there's a certain move to get rid of TikTok by certain political figures, because TikTok is one of those places where there's a free exchange of ideas, and you can think what you want about TikTok, but depending on your algorithm, I see all sorts of fantastic feminist content, political content focused on educating and empowering women and people in general to kind of critically think and take charge. And it's, once you start opening that door and see that you're not alone and other people are living the way that you want to be living, it's kind of addictive.
Much like the Barbie movie, when the Barbies received the message of what is so contradictory about living under the patriarchy, and once they were aware of it, they couldn't turn back. They were always going to be aware of it, and it was going to change everything going forward. And it's the same thing for people when that happens to them individually. I got a lot of inspiration when Jamie Lee Curtis was in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she famously wouldn't wear Spanx under her costume. And she was like, this is what my stomach looks like.
That was awesome.
Whenever there's like celebrities who do, photo shoots where they don't allow any airbrushing or no makeup. Oh my God, the no makeup ones. And it's just like,
huge.
That is what a woman actually looks like. And it's so empowering in this like era of, super contouring makeup and filters and all this like crazy expectations for women to look like cartoon characters. When a woman is who's in the public eye is brave enough to go without makeup, without, airbrushing, without Spanx, all that stuff, it's a little bit of liberation for all of us.
Yeah. Good old Cordy getting it started back in 1998.
We do celebrate throwing off the shackles. And Cordelia is our leader, and we should follow her.
I love Cordy. Especially as an adult, I have a new appreciation for her.
Yeah, me too. Every time I rewatch Buffy, I sort of fall in love with a different character in a new way. There's always one who I'm like, I never thought about this character that way before. And then it becomes like a, you know, like a Cordelia rewatch or a Faith rewatch or a, you know, there's like sometimes different characters grab my attention in different ways. It's kind of funny. I feel like because of the podcast now, I'm sort of I'm back to Buffy as my character that I'm the most focused on. Like I've gone full circle around through all the other characters, and now I'm really focused on Buff.
Even if I try to give equal, because I never really focused on Buffy that much before for some reason. Like, because it was just like, well, I love her, obviously.
But that's a given.
Buffy's great.
Yeah. I love that Xander and Cordelia have another important relationship moment in the Summers basement. It's like, what a weird place for them to have these like big moments.
It's back where it all began.
Like neither of them live there. Like what?
That is so funny.
Oh God, it's so cute. I love that twice in this episode, Xander tries to barricade a door that opens the other way.
I know. It's so funny. It's just, I think that happens a couple other times, and every single time
it's funny.
It cracks me up.
Yeah, it's
he just
really
looks
funny.
so surprised. I'm like, well, didn't do that right.
Oops. I mean, at the beginning of the episode, there's that moment in the classroom where he's joking about or talking about how he's not going to get an F on the paper. He's going to get a D-, and he's like happy about it. And it's so funny that Xander is constantly sort of portrayed as being pretty dumb. And I don't necessarily think he is, but it's hard to imagine that he is Willow's best friend when Willow is like...
If he is dumb.
Yeah, like study hard, like best student ever. Like she's never rubbed off on him, like never gotten him to do any homework.
That's one of those things. I just have to assume that he's not stupid. He just is not interested in traditional schoolwork at all. Because he is witty. Yeah. You know, in his conversations, he's, you know, on point. He's clever. He's quick.
And over the seasons, he shows himself to be equally good at like figuring things out, making deductions about monsters or whatever.
It's true.
You know, he's not Willow smart who like knows everything and remembers everything and is a hacker somehow. But he, you know, he doesn't seem dumb, but he definitely is not school smart. No. If he's getting, you know, a D- and he's happy about it.
Oh, Xander. That was one part too that kind of bugged me when Amy kind of like looks back and forth around the room real quick, knows Xander sits behind her, and then goes up to the teacher and like very obviously like does some sort of spell, and Xander's just like, oh my gosh. I was like, damn it, Amy, be more subtle than that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this is not your first rodeo. But then we wouldn't have an episode.
That was a cool spell, though.
Oh, yeah. That would come in handy. That'd be hard not to abuse, though.
It reminded me a little bit of the Doctor in Doctor Who has like magic paper.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Like he shows anybody in the whole universe,
yes.
and it's whatever identification he needs it to be. I always was
handy.
Like, that is such a useful little tool. But yeah, Amy has a similar ability.
I might have to keep that in mind. Next time somebody asks me, like, what 5 things I would take from any given universe, that would be a good one.
Everything about Doctor Who. I mean, I would love to have a TARDIS. That thing is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And a sonic screwdriver. Even though sometimes I'm not entirely sure what it actually does.
Everything. It does everything.
Yep. It's still fun. Somehow makes fish fingers and custard maybe taste good together. Today's Matt Smith's birthday, so.
Oh, happy birthday, Matt Smith.
That's highly appropriate.
That's hilarious.
I love him so much. But I did enjoy seeing more Amy in this episode.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we didn't talk about the episode that she's in the first season. We touched on it. Was that last week's episode?
Yeah, last week was when Oz was talking about the trophy.
That's right. Okay. So we've referenced her, but it's nice to see her get a little bit more screen time.
Yeah. She and Buffy had that great interaction, and I've always wanted to use this sentence in conversation when Amy says to Buffy, "Bad breakup, huh?" And Buffy says, "Believe me when I say, uh-huh." And it's such a classic Buffy line of the way she words things and the way she puts emphasis on things. It's so cute and clever, and it cracks me up every time. And I always want to say it, and nobody ever asks me the question in exactly the right way, so that I can like organically come out with "Believe me when I say, uh-huh."
That is a good line. Because it's like for everyone that's in the know, you're just like, yeah,
yeah,
for real. It's like you have
epically
no idea.
bad breakup, just like the worst ever. Yeah,
that is terrible. That reminds me of, what is Xander makes some comment about wishing that dating was like slaying and that it's, more, it's simple. Slaying is simple and straightforward. And Buffy's like, sorry to say, Xan, slaying is a tad more perilous than dating. And Xander says something like, well, you're obviously not dating Cordelia. And it always makes me laugh that Buffy says that. And I was like, girl, you're dating history right now.
Yeah, like, what are
way
you talking
more
about?
dangerous than your typical slaying adventures. I was like, no. I was like, I don't think that's true.
Side note, I had that exact puffy heart necklace.
That's fun.
I still have it. It's in my bedroom.
That's so cool.
It's very 90s. Puffy hearts were really big at the end of the 90s.
I had that, what was that? The little cami pajama, the like baby blue pajama top that Buffy came out in when she was watching a movie.
Oh, with the like, it was
mom.
like a bird on it or something?
Yeah.
It was so
I was
cute.
like, I 100% had that. There was like a line. I had like a baby pink one and a yellow one. Like, it's just that sent me back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my pajamas.
The nostalgia.
I think it was from like Charlotte Russe or something like that.
Oh, that's really
something.
Funny.
Or Delia's. Maybe Delia's.
Yeah, that kind of had a Delia's look.
Oh, I love it.
Discover unbeatable deals and convenience at your neighborhood family fare supermarkets. Score exclusive deals, earn rewards, join clubs, and clip digital coupons for extra savings all in one place. Our exclusive offers bring savings straight to your card. Explore a wide range of local products that support your community. With easy pickup and delivery options, saving time and grocery shopping has never been easier. Family Fare is all about making your grocery experience easy and affordable and your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. Family Fare in your neighborhood.
Waiting to buy a home? The Churchill Mortgage team says now is a great time to buy. Waiting could be a costly mistake because when rates drop, new home buyers will flood the market, driving up home prices. Go to churchillmortgage.com for your free analysis and see how home values can outpace rates to help you build wealth over time faster. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee. 37027.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
The title of the episode, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, is borrowed from a Rodgers and Hart song most famously recorded by Ella Fitzgerald. And the song is about a woman who has fallen head over heels for some guy who is mediocre. She's not even very nice about it in the song, even though she's crazy about him. Here's some of the lyrics. Men are not a new sensation. I've done pretty well, I think. But this half-pint imitation put me on the blink. I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again. Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I.
Nice.
Half-pint imitation that comes up again later in the song. It's like he's not worthy of it, but there's another part of the song where it says, he's a fool and don't I know it, but a fool can have his charms. I'm in love and don't I show it like a babe in arms. Love's the same old sad sensation. Lately I've not slept a wink since this half-pint imitation put me on the blink. So the parallels to the show are pretty clear. You know, Xander is at least within the Sunnydale hierarchy considered sort of a mediocre dude. And yet, and Cordelia, you know, she's had plenty of men throw themselves at her. And she could probably get any guy in the high school she wanted. But for some reason, Xander has thrown her for a loop. And she's bewitched by him, right? And she's not really even completely sure why. And then, of course, he literally bewitches the female population because it's the Hellmouth. But I'm a huge Ella Fitzgerald fan, but I wasn't familiar with this song before, so it was fun to sort of look it up.
I'm going to have to listen to that. That seems highly appropriate for this episode.
Yeah, it's the perfect title.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of music, I can start going into notes.
Yeah.
Just a tidbit. I love the fact that the last time, you know, we see Oz's band perform in this episode, and the last time we saw Oz's band actually perform was in Inca Mummy Girl.
Yep.
Which just so happens to be another episode where Xander has some like supernatural love issues. I was like, oh, that's a nice little callback. But he just, I don't know, Nicholas Brendan cracked me up. The rest of my notes are random things that I thought were hilarious, like that I actually laughed out loud in the episode. And I think the first moment that always catches me is when it cuts to him without his shirt on, like looking up at the camera and just sitting there ready for Amy to cast this spell.
Like paint on his chest or something. And he looks cold and like a little boy. Yeah, oh my God.
So terrified.
So funny.
And then when he has the realization that Joyce is coming on to him and she starts talking about like, you know, hot chocolate and like rubbing his back and he just slams his head on the table.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
like he's exhausted. Right. It's a really funny moment because, you know, he thinks of Joyce as this like wholesome mom type. It didn't even occur to him that she would be also under the spell. So funny. Oh, I love Joyce so much.
And that surprise of it, you know, of course working on Joyce is always a funny one. Poor guy. He was so scared.
But he deserved it.
He did. He 100% did.
One thing that has always sort of struck me as interesting is that his desire for revenge on Cordy isn't motivated by missing her or having a broken heart, but by being mocked and teased by other people in the school about being dumped. And he's like, I want some respect. And the fact that he thinks he's going to get respect by being mean is interesting as a comment on toxic masculinity. That he thinks vengeance against her will somehow make him cool. It won't. Like, everyone else in the school is still going to pick on you because they think you're a dork. Like, that's not going to change it, but...
Which is also weird, like, I don't know, and I don't know what other high schools were like or how typical my high school experience was, but I don't recall anybody ever, like, making fun of someone openly in the hallway for being dumped. Like, that one guy that walks past him and makes a comment just randomly is like, sucks to be dumped, Xander, or something like that. I was like, what the hell is happening here? And maybe it's just nice that I don't have any memories like that. But that seemed off to me. Cordelia being made fun of for dating Xander, like that stuff, 100%. I have memories of things like that happening and conversations like that. But we know Xander gets picked on. I just wonder how much of it would be for actually being broken up with. But it does give us a glimpse into like a little bit darker Xander. It's not because, like you said, like he doesn't miss her and want her to fall in love with him so he can be with her again. He wants her to be humiliated and feel the pain and hurt that he felt. And I was just like, damn, man. Like, that could not be less pure in your intention for this love spell. That is intense.
It's unclear if he ever explains that to Cordy, because when she finds out that the spell was supposed to be for her, I think she interprets it as because he wanted her back.
She's flattered.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no.
No.
It's like, you would not be happy if you knew what was actually going on. Which is also why it's so funny when Amy approaches him the next day and he, starts to realize that the spell worked on everyone, not just Buffy. And she's like, I just really enjoyed spending time with you last night. And you were so sweet. I was like, he was so sweet when he was essentially blackmailing you into doing this love spell so he could crush his ex-girlfriend. I'm like, all right. That tracks.
That's a spell. The look on his face when he's having that conversation with Amy and his growing realization that Buffy isn't truly interested in him, it's pretty good acting by Nicholas Brendan, because you can see it. He's like, what? Huh? Oh no. Oh, that means, oh no. Like he's
little by little.
It's just this grief. And then he's like, now I don't know what to do. It's really sad.
That
he is
rough,
sad.
'cause we know how much he, quote unquote, loves Buffy, and how Buffy is still essentially, apparently, his first choice. And he kind of even made that clear not too long ago about if Buffy would just say the word, he would get away from Cordelia and go with Buffy.
In a heartbeat.
It's kind of painful. It's just like, oh man.
And he makes that disgusting lap dance joke.
Ugh.
And
that's right.
He should have known something was up when she didn't say, gross, Xander.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
yeah.
She is not acting like normal Buffy.
Yeah, something's up.
And the last time she behaved this way towards him, it was a sign of something something was horribly wrong with her.
Yeah.
So he kind of, like that sexy dance moment at the Bronze is like, Xander,
do you remember?
Snap to it.
Yeah. Like, that was because she was, like, in deep PTSD. So, what a horrible feeling to be like, she's only interested in me as part of a weird traumatic experience.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Xander.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed when Angel was about to bite him, and he's like, if it's any consolation, I feel really close to you now. And I was like, actually, that's worse. Xander hates you, but it was such a funny thing for Angel to say.
That was funny.
So good.
I liked that. Who was it? There have been, like, theories spun off towards that one line about possibly hinting that Angel was bisexual. And that I was like, I mean, I don't know if they intended that there. I think it was just supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be funny. They never really imply that Angel is bisexual again.
No, I can't. There are some people, like, there are some theories that will point to a couple of different things that I don't interpret the same way.
Yeah.
But every time I hear that line now, I think about this one little group of people on Reddit who are convinced.
You know what? Good on them. Have your theory. And there was, and still is not, enough bisexual representation on TV. So you got to find it where you can. until that
Seriously.
time that there is enough representation. It's definitely becoming more common, but not like it needs to be. Yeah.
And especially not in 1998.
No.
That's for damn sure.
I mean, Larry coming out to Xander last episode was a really, really big deal in 1998. So
big.
The concept of someone being bisexual on TV, I don't think that was going to happen for many more years.
Being bisexual and not being hypersexualized.
Oh, or a serial killer.
Yep.
A lot of times serial killers are bisexual. Yeah, it's pretty offensive.
Oh, Lord. Still
a
long way to go.
Or trans. Like, there's a lot of people who really hate Silence of the Lambs because it sort of depicts being trans as being psychotic, and it's not really fair. No. It's a great movie in some ways, but once I heard that and thought about it, I was like, of course. And now I can't unsee it, so I can't really enjoy that movie anymore.
Makes sense. And that was also not, a characteristic of any of the serial killers that they based Buffalo Bill off of.
Yeah, they just threw it in there to make it extra juicy for the film.
Mm-hmm. Man, if you had told me when we started talking that we would end up with a Silence of the Lambs discussion at any point, I don't know if I'd believe you, but it works. It's relevant.
It is relevant. I have a couple of pieces of trivia. You mentioned this earlier, but this episode was the first use of the term big bad. It was said the big bad thing in the dark, so it wasn't used the way it will become used later in the series, but the phrase big bad is going to become a major phrase going forward in Buffy. Yeah. That happens in season 3 in the episode Gingerbread, which I love. I love that episode. Oh, yeah.
Very appropriate that it happened in that episode and this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I'll say.
This is the first time that in the cemetery we see the Alpert tomb. It's going to show up in many, many more episodes going forward. So it'll jump out at you now when you watch it. You'll be like, Alpert! Every time they show that tomb. I had a friend with that last name in law school, so it already was always jumping out at me.
Nice.
Also, Sky One in the UK pulled Buffy from its schedule after this episode and replaced it with Third Rock from the Sun. And it was almost a year before Buffy was shown in the UK again, and people were able to catch up on the rest of season 2. Yeah. Bummer.
That would make me so sad.
If I were watching this season and it ended at this episode and I couldn't see the end of season 2, I would have been going crazy.
Oh my gosh, that would be
what happens between Buffy and Angel?
And you couldn't just go on to Amazon Prime or something and buy the episode or
VPN into the Netflix for the US.
Illegally stream
None of that was an option. Oh. You had to just wait.
Or hope you have a friend in America that is willing to record them on VHS and
mail it to you. Yeah. Or you visit somebody in America and then you get to watch it. I do remember watching episodes of Buffy on TV in Paris in 2001 and in Argentina in 2005. Just I always like to watch a little bit of TV when I'm in a foreign country because I like to get the flavor of it. Mm-hmm. So, I would flip channels and I'd be like, oh my God, Buffy. And I'd watch a little bit and then be like, this is ridiculous. I don't speak French. I'm going to go out and see Paris some more. Mm-hmm. But when I was in Argentina, I was working on my Spanish and I do speak some Spanish. So I was able to follow what I was watching and I watched a whole episode.
I think Buffy, in Spanish, that I could do.
Yeah.
I took Spanish in high school, living in Texas. We have a lot of Spanish speakers. That would be much easier to follow than French. Yeah. Whenever you hear people talk about how, I learned the language by watching TV and listening to songs, I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Because I don't know if my brain at age 35 is capable of doing that.
Hopefully I'll never have to find out. Because I won't be in one of those situations.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Does it still slay?
Oh, it so slays. It will forever slay. I freaking love this episode. Like, I forgot how much I loved it, and I was watching it again on the plane this morning, like trying to hold in my giggles on my, 6 a.m. flight. It's like, nobody pay attention to me. But it's just it's an instant classic. It's a great episode of Buffy. It captures a lot of what I think are the great things about Buffy. So I think I might know your answer to Does It Still Slay?
It definitely still slays. And I think it's also an episode that teenage girls would really benefit from watching, even in 2023. Just this idea that there's a difference between love and obsession, and that love unchecked and unrealistic can become dangerous, and that messing around with love is something that you need to do carefully. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
it
the
still
lessons.
slays. Yeah.
Definitely still needed today.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness.
So let's go on over to the Bronze and grab a drink and see what some of our listeners have to say.
Bronze things. Things of bronze.
Love it. So, our first bit of listener feedback is from Facebook, and it's Jolene Abbey. She said, I love this one. Bit of foreshadowing with Amy turning Buffy into the rat, and good for Cordelia at the end. This was a huge turning point for her character. Totally agree.
Absolutely. It's when Cordelia cements herself as one of the Scoobies, too. Like, she's like, I've chosen. I'm in this group.
Full on Scooby.
Karen Schmelk-Cohn. Hi, Karen. Says, it's a nice, somewhat lighter episode after Angel goes bad, and I love it for the continued character development for Cordelia. The characters really break out of their stereotypes this season, and this is a great example of that. And while I think Xander still kind of holds a candle for Buffy after this, he's more accepting of his friend role, and their relationship is less awkward. And Oz is great always.
He is great.
Could not agree more. I chatted with Karen a little bit over the weekend, and her son was home from college for the weekend, and she was showing him Buffy.
Aw, fun.
And so I asked her to try to get him to write in or call in and tell us what he thinks of it as, the next generation watching it 25 years after it came out. We'll see if he does.
That would be excellent.
It'd be really great.
I would be so curious.
We got a couple of voicemails from Anwen and Steve.
Hey Scoobies, it's Anwen. I loved your episode last week. Jim's enthusiasm is infectious. It was really fantastic. And I just love how all of these episodes in season 2 are kind of setting up themes and setting up characters for later episodes, and maybe more along those lines in the spoiler section. I love this episode. I had forgotten about it. It's one of those ones that's not massively essential to the through plot, but is a lot of fun. So I had forgotten about it, and when Buffy started coming on to Xander, I was like, oh, that's right. That's right. It's Buffy that falls for him instead of Cordelia. And then I realised, oh yeah, they all fall for him. And it's quite funny and campy at first, but then it gets so dark, and it is actually really scary when you think about that impact and how far people can go along a dark path when they're obsessed with somebody. right to the end where, Xander and Cordelia's lives were in grave danger. Also a little bit more of Angel being creepy, horrible Angel, ripping the heart out of a quaint little shop girl for Drew. I think I'm finding, in the same way that I'm finding his kind of, when he's Angel and he's, supposedly good, but all that behaviour we've talked about before about not listening to her and just being kind of all, into her, but not necessarily supporting her wholeheartedly. I'm finding myself less tolerant to that this time around, and I'm also finding myself more creeped out by Angelus this time around. It's just so dark and sinister. And yeah, thought it was awesome, fun to watch again, and such a good ride as always. Bye.
Bye, Anwen.
Yay.
Love hearing from you. And that awesome New Zealand accent. I never get tired of that.
Nope, not at all.
And we have a voicemail from Steve. Live Steve.
Hello, still slaying after all these years. I'm trying to sing it. I'm Steve, and this is for season 2, episode, I think it's 15, 16, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. I tried to do a live Steve of it, but the live Steve was got into the 4-minute, 5-minute aspect. I won't send those because that's
fair.
Way too long for you to play. But anyway, gosh, this episode, I love it. It's so great. There's so many things in this episode that, yes, it's episodically, it's contained in just this episode, but there's so many things going on here that we see. First off, I just want to state for the record, unless anybody takes this the wrong way, Xander, from the beginning, once he figures out that something strange is going on, actually, before he even figures out something strange, he pushes away everyone who would not have had relations with it. He pushes away Buffy, he pushes away Willow, all these things he pushes away. And when he figures out that there's a spell going on, he realizes that, okay, none of this is real. But he also realizes that with Cordy, because of her necklace, that's real. So it's just it's great to see that his character remained that strength. He had that strength, that valor, that honor throughout the entire series. Really, if you look at it, and not to spoil anything, but yeah. So that's the main thing for me is we see that Xander's core character doesn't change. And I love that about him, the loyalty, the honor that he has. And so I'll let you guys, I can't wait to hear you guys talk about this one and see what you pull out and how long your podcast is about this one. Talk to you later.
Man.
Thanks, Steve.
I think at some point we might need to get Steve on to talk about a Xander episode because
there's a great one in season 3 that would be a perfect fit for Steve, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Yep. Because it'd be good to have another perspective of Xander, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't love Xander overall, and I think that comes across when we talk about him.
Well, he is the repository of the sort of toxic masculinity of the time period, and he says a lot of problematic stuff, but his actions are typically heroic, right? We talked about this in Innocence, where he goes up to Angel to rescue Willow, and the way that he just will dive in all the time to save Buffy without regard for his own safety. He is a very heroic person in some ways, and unfortunately he says a lot of problematic, sexualizing, possessive stuff about the women in his life, and it's hard to look past it. But Steve is right, he didn't take any of those women up on it as much as he wanted to take Buffy up on her offer.
And I try to remember, one, that he's fictional, obviously, and of the time, and that he is a teenage boy. His character is a teenage boy. He had a lot of growing to do, a lot of maturing to do, and I always have to remind myself, like, don't be too hard, like, because there are still some redeeming qualities of Xander, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good, definitely. Steve, I want to hear more about your, impressions of Xander going forward for sure. I'm interested in that perspective.
I agree. I think that would be great, and we should definitely invite Steve to come on. Mm-hmm. That is the end of the main section of the podcast.
Stay tuned if you want to hear the spoilery discussion.
And if you'd like to join the conversation or just find out more about Podcastica and the other shows at Podcastica, you can find everything that you need at podcastica.com.
You can write in or record a voice message right there on podcastica.com or find links to our social media pages and all of our other shows.
So there's a lot going on always, but I have been really enjoying the White Lotus podcast still. They're almost done with season 2 of the White Lotus. It's been great. And the Ted Lasso review, the rewatch of Ted Lasso, has been a lot of fun. Ted Lasso is such a balm. After I watch something dark and heavy and sad, to watch an episode of Ted Lasso just makes my heart happy.
Oh yeah. It's a very nice palate cleanser.
It really is.
That's for sure.
And Ben and Kristen are having a great time.
I need to catch up. I need to finish the show so I can listen to them, because I've only seen the first 2 seasons.
Oh, but they're not being
Is it spoiler
spoilery.
free?
Yeah, so you can listen.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I'm going to go download all their episodes now. But I have still been listening to all of Strange Indeed's coverage of, well, 1, Great British Bake Off, because I love that show, and 2, The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, it's so good.
Because it's amazing. And we've talked about, like, I binged that show the first night or 2 it came out. And so now, following along with Rima and Paik, rewatching each episode and actually, like, getting to appreciate it and think about it, it's a good way to go.
It's fantastic. The show is really delightful. The way that it weaves together all this different Poe material, but in its own fresh way. The acting is fantastic. The production values are beautiful. And then, listening to Rima and Paik on Strange Indeed, I get so much more from each episode because there's always something I've missed. It's impossible to see everything.
Right?
And those two always pick up on interesting things. And it just makes the show richer and more fun.
I think their coverage of Haunting of Hill House is what made me really kind of fall in love with and appreciate Mike Flanagan, because of the details, and they caught so many things that I missed. And now I rewatch that show every year in October and re-listen to the podcast, because it's so much fun to go back and look at all the details and subtleties that Flanagan weaves in. So,
it's good stuff.
All of it. I recommend all of it.
And if you check those out and you like what we do, hit like, hit follow, subscribe, all of the different buttons that you can find to follow our podcasts. It really means a lot to us. We got a new review on Apple Podcasts. That was really nice to see. So thank you. That always makes my day when we get a happy review. And we really appreciate it, you guys. So thank you.
That's awesome. I'm going to make a mental note to go look at that, because I have not looked yet. But next time, we will be covering Season 2, Episode 17, Passion. And you will not want to miss that one.
It's a very light episode, really fluffy. Nothing really happens.
Yeah, super light.
Yeah, very light. Thanks, everyone. And remember, your face is a poem. I can read it.
Really? It doesn't say spare me by any chance?
Shh. How do you feel about eternal life?
We couldn't just start with a coffee? A movie, maybe?
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
All right, that's the end of the non-spoiler section. If you don't want to get spoiled for, future episodes, then you should stop listening right now.
It's too bad we can't sneak a look at the Watcher Diaries. I'm sure it's full of fun facts to know and tell.
Yeah, that's too bad. That stuff is private.
Also, Giles keeps them in his office, in his personal files.
Most importantly, it would be wrong.
I thought it'd be fun to start. We got a spoilery voicemail from Onwin, and I thought it'd be fun to start there.
Fun.
Hi, it's me again. Forgot to say in the last voicemail that I left how funny it was to watch Buffy coming on to Xander. It was hilarious. But the funniest part to me was Jenny and the way that she kind of looks at him when she first comes in to talk to Giles, and then she's distracted by him. She does this double take. It's so hilarious. I just loved it. Also on Jenny, this is now spoilers. That moment when she's trying to talk to Giles and Giles sort of brushes her off again, it's so kind of poignant because, yes, he's still angry at her, but it's become a little bit more subdued anger or just, regret. He's got this kind of yearning look to him as much as she does, that he kind of wants to talk to her, but also he knows he can't or he shouldn't or he won't or something. Anyway, it was very sad, and especially when you know what happens later with Jenny, it is very emotional. And I also love all the witchcraft stuff. It's pretty cool to see Amy. I'd forgotten about Amy, and she is a pretty important character later on, and it was really cool to see the rat stuff happening and the beginning of all the real witchcraft stuff, which becomes such a big part of the plot later with Willow. Really loved seeing that in this episode as well. Okay, that's bye again from me. Bye.
Bye, Onwin. Thank you for 2 voicemails, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Jenny's storyline is going to come to an end shortly. And we're going to lose the brilliant Robia Lamort, and that is tragic because she's so good. She's so much better even than I remember her being. Her acting is really great. And like Onwin pointed out, that scene where she first notices Xander is so funny. And she's she's all giggly and happy, and it's adorable.
And I think during this rewatch, I don't know what it is, because before I hadn't really thought much about, Giles still being upset with her. I think I was fully on board with it. But for some reason this time around, I don't know, it's just kind of bugging me a little bit, because I can understand to a certain extent why he's upset with her. But really, what she did wrong was, not really being upfront and honest with Giles about who she was in her past. But Giles also was not really honest about his past or his past experiences. And then, she does try to convince Angel to get out of town and leave. But I don't think that is completely out of line. And, she's raised as a child to, really kind of hate Angel and see him as this dangerous creature who, deserves to be tortured to a certain extent. And I just have a hard time with Giles not being able to empathize a little bit or hear her out.
I think it has a lot more to do with Giles being loyal to Buffy. And Buffy is angry at Jenny and wants nothing to do with her. So Giles is like, I'm with Buffy. And I do think that he would be willing to hear her out and understand where she was coming from, if not for Buffy. And we'll see that
but for Buffy
next episode, right? Where Buffy will sort of give them the go ahead and be like, you guys, what does she say? I don't want him to be alone. Right? It's an act of love for Buffy to tell Jenny, like, you and Giles can see each other.
I guess that makes me feel a little better, because for whatever reason, this rewatch in particular, it's just been bugging me a little bit more.
Interesting.
I'm just like, can't you see where she's coming from? And but it does, Buffy is his priority.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
And the effect on Buffy was so devastating. I mean, so devastating that anyone who had any attachment to it happening, Buffy just couldn't even stand the sight of her, and who can blame her?
I guess that is one where logic does not, and reasoning, it doesn't matter if you associate it, because obviously, she didn't know exactly what was going to happen, and then as soon as she realized what had happened or what was about to happen, she tried to stop it, but that doesn't exactly make up for anything, especially with Buffy.
It's the feeling of betrayal, and also that it's a convenient place for Buffy to put her anger is Jenny, because she's actually angry at herself, right? Buffy blames herself for what happened to Angel, and she's really angry, and so just anyone associated with it is going to feel that wrath, and being angry at Jenny is easier than being angry at herself.
I wonder if it's because I hadn't rewatched Buffy in a while, but I had rewatched Angel last year, and for some reason, I just started thinking about Connor's storyline, and Connor, spoilers for Angel, by the way, but, Connor being raised to hate Angel.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, Ginny didn't know any better. And my brain just went that way.
Yep.
But, that does make sense. Giles is, he's so loyal to Buffy.
Yeah.
He cares about her so much.
As we'll find out more in season 3. He has a father's love for the girl.
That episode.
Giles. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite. That's a top episode for me.
So
Helpless.
Good.
I love it so much.
I was still my stomach is in knots when I rewatch that episode.
Oh, it's
even
so
though
scary.
I know what's gonna happen.
Yep.
It's just
this episode reminds me a lot of the episode in season 4. I think it's called Something Blue, when Willow turns Xander into a monster magnet. And the monsters just keep coming and coming. It was kind of like that here with the girls, right? They just keep coming and coming. And it's this frantic need to run away.
That's so funny.
This is not the last time Xander will resort to magic regarding his love life. He very stupidly repeats almost this exact mistake in season 6. But we forgive him because it resulted in the musical episode, which is brilliant. But it's funny to me that they never circle back to it. Xander, what the hell were you thinking, man?
I know. It's haven't you learned your lesson?
People died.
He remembers it when it's, Willow's turn to mess with love and magic, very conveniently.
Right.
But not when it's him getting involved again. With this episode, I couldn't think of a way to make this point without it being spoilery. But as much as I have a distaste for Xander sometimes with what he says, obviously Xander's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I really love Xander-centric episodes. A lot of my favorite, funny episodes focus on Xander. Obviously, in season 3, I think it's
the
13, the Zeppo.
It's
that
so
is
good.
Such a good episode. It's just,
it's so
it's
funny.
perfect.
And it's another episode that has very little of Buffy in it. There's just a few little moments with Buffy, and the rest of it is all Xander. I love the way that episode is structured, how it goes in and out of this other story, but
it's just so clever.
So funny. It's really good. And it has Michael Cudlitz in it, who later becomes a beloved cast member of and director of Walking Dead. Love
Good
Cudlitz.
Abraham.
He's fantastic.
And then The Replacement in season 5 is one of my favorite episodes.
I forgot about that episode. That episode is so funny.
It's so good. And, you know, they use Nicholas Brendan's twin brother, which I think really helps, like, because he has a person there that he's able to act off of. And God, that episode is another one that makes me laugh every time I watch it. And then I also love Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
In season 6, even though it's kind of painful.
Yep.
I still love it. But that is another good Xander-centric episode that stands out. So when Xander is given, you know, the spotlight and the focus, I think Nicholas Brendan carries those episodes excellently.
Yeah, he really
does.
Even
the pack.
Oh, I love the pack.
Yeah. Like, he's got great comedic timing. He's so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And
he's just too good looking to be such a dork in high school. It's hard to believe that he doesn't do better with girls because he's quite good looking, but and he's funny.
Like he might not be the jock type, but he's kind of that maybe sarcastic skater vibe type.
Yeah.
There would have been plenty of girls that were into Xander.
Yeah, I would have been into Xander.
Oh, gosh.
Even with the, problematic things he said in the 90s, I would have been like, that's normal. Every other guy says that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have fazed me at all, and I would have thought he was cute and funny. His D- would have probably bothered me a little bit, but I probably would have enjoyed that it would have really upset my parents.
That one little bit of rebellion coming in. I like that.
Be like, this is my new boyfriend. He doesn't get good grades.
It's like, ha ha ha. That's why I dated. My little bit of rebellion was dating a skater in high school. But he was also in GT with me. So that didn't
What's GT?
really have as gifted and talented.
Oh, yeah.
So that didn't really have as much of a rebellious impact as I would have thought. But another moment where I kind of laughed out loud at the future was when, Angelus and Spike have that little exchange about ripping Buffy's lungs out and how it lacks poetry, and Spike's like, it doesn't have to. What rhymes with lungs? And I'm like, you're a poet, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, you were William the Bloody. You should have so many horrible rhymes ready. Just start spouting them off. It makes me so
I was
happy.
thinking the same thing too. I was like, of any one of you who would be able to write a poem about this, it would be you, Spike.
Right? And it would be horribly, terrifically terrible, I'm sure.
I would love to hear it. It's one of my favorite moments in the very end of season 7 when he goes to some open mic night and does a poetry reading. It's so cute.
Oh, Spike. I love him.
We do.
I do love how you also brought up Gingerbread in season 3.
Such a great episode.
Fantastic episode. It kind of combined my elementary school, middle school, which has continued into adulthood obsession with the Salem witch trials, and my love for Buffy. And the fact that poor Amy is gonna use that spell again that turned Buffy into a rat.
Yep.
And backfires just
not gonna go so well for our friend Amy.
Not at all.
It's such good stuff. Oh, we have so much lovely stuff to come. There's just so much goodness in Buffy. We will get there.
I can't wait.
All right, that is the complete end of our show. Thanks everybody for listening to us, and until next time, I'm Penny.
And I'm Kara.
Keep slaying.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino.
That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes.
ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.